Hello everyone and welcome to episode 18 of Suplexes and Microphones. I'm Joe. In Nate's absence, we brought in Caleb Kitchens.
And I'm Rob Killjoy.
He is Rob Killjoy.
Was that premature? I'm sorry.
The off kilter.
No, it's okay. 1 out of 5. 1 out of 5.
So I want to preface this entire show by stating this right now on the record. Rob Killjoy is my favorite wrestler. Throughout this interview,
I'm my favorite wrestler too.
we're going to bring up a few points as to why that is. But first, let's start off with kind of the general questions. You've probably answered these on other shows, and that's fine. Start out with telling us who trained you, how'd you get your break in the business. You and I briefly discussed this. Tim Blaze and Scrapyard Dog you mentioned. So if you want to tell us about that, kick it off.
Okay. Well, first, I was still in high school, and I was backyard wrestling. You're not supposed to say that, but I was backyard wrestling.
Got you.
But I've been doing that for a while, since I was, say, 13 or so. I just always loved wrestling. So it's just what I wanted to do.
Okay.
So all of my projects in school, they were about wrestling. And I had to do a senior project in my senior year. And that was going to be most of my grade, and I needed to find a mentor in the field of whatever it was on which I was doing my project, or however you say. And so my aunt, with whom I was living at the time, she knew somebody. She worked at the hospital. She knew somebody who used to wrestle. His name was Jerry McNeil.
Okay.
He's since passed away. But I met up with him. He had me give him a tape of our stuff. He actually saw something in it. He actually liked it.
Okay.
And introduced me to a couple other people. Like, he was my mentor for the project. I did the project, blah, 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 blah. But he introduced me to Tim Blaze, who introduced me to a couple of people. Like, say, he took me to Burlington. The very first actual ring I ever got in was in Burlington for CWF, for Mid-Atlantic. And I still remind them of that whenever I'm there. I got in the ring with Jeff Rudd. Jim and I Kid. There are a lot of other people there, like Kamikaze Kid. I remember Gregory Versetti. But I never even knew there was independent wrestling until I went to an independent show. It was I believe it was February of 2014. I went to this wrestling show. It was like 30 minutes from my house, and I never knew anything about independent wrestling. So, like I say, that was just, oh man, this is crazy. You know, that's like that. I've never had that much fun in my life. Is how I put it at the time.
Gotcha.
And I went the following year, because I started in November of 2014. The following year, I was on that same show in the same place. So that's a side story. So I think that's kind of cool. And that's actually, in that match, is where I first met Brian, aka Lance Lude, who was doing Ultra Dragon at the time, because we did an 8-man tag. And he was telling me what movie he wanted to do, and I actually knew what he was talking about. So we kind of hit it off.
Gotcha.
But then later on, years later, I had the same encounter with him that I see dozens of people have now. It's like, you know me, right? I'm this guy. Oh, I didn't know that was you. You know, I had the same encounter with him.
Okay.
But sorry, I'm kind of all over the place. I'm very tired. I just drove all night from New York, so I apologize. This is entertaining. It'll get there, I promise. But he introduced me to Tim Blaze, who took me around, blah, blah, blah. Before I even got trained, they had put me on a poster that I was going to be wrestling November 13th of 2014. That was the first day I wrestled.
Okay.
So I literally went and trained one time. And that was the CWF thing. And then I trained a little earlier the day of the show, and then I wrestled my first match. And like, there's some good of it, some real bad. I wore clothes and tennis shoes. It was bad. But yeah, it was all due to my high school projects, pretty much how I got started. And I just met these guys. So it was Tim Blaze. Eventually, there were a couple people who were coming in. Pat Friday, LA Wild One. They were like coming in, doing kind of training sessions, because I got this little school that was like 15 minutes from where I was living at the time with my aunt.
Okay.
And we, yeah, like I say, we would just go train there. But then eventually, Tim Blaze brought his Scrapyard Dog, and he became our actual trainer. So it wasn't just like once or twice with this guy. He actually taught us stuff. And I remember we were being taught to jump up real high to take bumps. I don't know how much we say out here behind the curtain, but we jumped real high to take bumps. I just hated it. I hated bumping. That sounds weird, right?
It does.
Sounds weird that
Especially-
Rob Killjoy hated bumping,
Sure.
right? But it's like, it's my neck was hurting and stuff. And then when Scrappy got there, he was telling us, no, you throw yourself back hard. I'm like, oh, this is much better because the ring gives a little more. Still hurts, but it's much better than free falling every time. So that's pretty much the long version of it, I guess.
Okay, all right. We talked about your influences in the business, and really you just said the business itself.
Yeah, wrestling.
But can you just maybe name a couple of your favorite stars that people would see on TV,
Wow.
WWE, or even prior to?
Well, when I was a kid, of course, I was a Hulkamaniac.
Okay.
Like, I loved Hulk Hogan. Like, I don't necessarily have I don't know if this is a question later, but I'll go ahead and go into this if it answers it. I don't necessarily have a first memory of wrestling like a lot of people do.
Okay.
I just remember renting videotapes from a video store, like old WrestleManias and stuff. Like, it's just always what I've done. I've never taken a break of, I stopped watching when I was in high school or anything like that. I've always watched wrestling as much as I possibly could. Just a ridiculous amount of wrestling. And now there's so much wrestling that I feel bad because there's too much to consume that I can't watch it all. So I feel upset about it because I wish I had that when I was growing up.
Yeah.
I really do. I wish I had access to that. I have DVDs at my house that I haven't got to watch yet. I wish you understood how painful that is for me. But I'm out on the road traveling and wrestling, so I would rather wrestle than watch wrestling, of course. But I'd like to do both. But I loved Hulk Hogan as a kid.
Okay.
And I was so bad whenever he turned, 'cause I was only like 11. Or not even 11 yet, I was like 10. But then I don't know, I always loved Eddie Guerrero and Shawn Michaels. Those would probably be my two favorites. As
Okay.
cliche as that is to say, there's a reason it's a
No,
cliche.
that's fine, definitely.
So I'll definitely say they're two of my favorites, but I just love wrestling. If you're good at what you do, like say regardless of what style it is, if you're good at it, I like it.
That's good.
You know, I try not to, let me think of how to verbalize it, because I cuss a lot, I've tried not to. I understand that there's a place for all sorts of wrestling. I try not to poop on any of it.
Yeah.
You know, like say, because Lucha Libre, okay, I understand why people hate it. Like say, it's very cartoony, it's more athletic than anything, it's not necessarily realistic. But I love Lucha Libre, especially when it's done well.
Yeah.
I dig it.
It's entertaining.
Yeah, right. You know what I'm saying? Like if you look at it for what it is, I love all sorts of wrestling. That's why I hope to be as versatile as, say, a Shawn Michaels or something someday who could do anything. I try my best to do anything. I try to do, I don't do death matches or anything, but I've done hardcore matches. We've done, like, say, high flying sprint matches. We've done traditional tag matches, just whatever we can do. I like to just show whatever we can do. It. What kind of match I want to have depends on my mood that day. I don't like to do the same thing over and over.
Gotcha. Okay.
Again, I forgot the original question. I'm just speaking. I
Talking about
apologize.
who your favorites, like in WWE.
Okay, well, yeah, Shawn Michaels and Eddie Guerrero
Okay.
would be, yeah.
So, if someone were to see Rob Killjoy on the street, not know who you were, not appreciate your body of work, one of the first things they notice,
My body in general.
or that, is the missing tooth. And I know you've told this story 1,000 times, so let's make it 1,001 so all of our viewers will know the story of the missing tooth.
Okay. It actually happened twice. So it's two stories combined into one. So I'll tell you this story, I'll tell you the next one. Originally, I was in this, I don't know, it's like 10-man hardcore thing at Southern Wrestling Association in Forest City, North Carolina. Ethan Case, he's got a scar from this. I hit him with the joy driller I do. I guess I'll call it that now. Double under a pile driver, Tiger Driver 91, however you would say. But I hit him with that, and as he hit, he went to his knees and popped his head up, and it hit me right in the mouth, and it broke my tooth in half. And I say, it was like, oh man, that hurt a lot. But I didn't know exactly what happened. When I got to the back, Phil Shatter, Gunner, Chad Lill, he was like, has your tooth always been chipped? I was like, no. So I looked in the mirror, and it had broken my tooth completely in half. The nerve was exposed and everything, and it hurt so bad.
That's the worst.
I took the half a tooth. I found it. And funny story. Somebody came up to try to hand me. Never mind. That's in the next story. I'll get to that in a second. But half a tooth. And I was like, man, I put it in milk because I thought that would help. Not that I didn't know what to do.
I've heard that though.
I didn't know what to do. So I put it in milk, but it was half a tooth. It wasn't like it was a whole tooth. So what could they really do with it?
Right.
Yeah. So the nerve was exposed. It hurt a lot. It affected my sinuses to where my face swelled up and everything. It was real bad. It hurt a lot. So I ended up with a half a tooth. Kept doing my thing. Kept wrestling. Whatever. I'm me. I'm not really concerned with how I look, obviously. So it never really bothered me that much. It hindered me or anything like that. Then a couple years later, I was put through a table, like something happened and it didn't quite go right. And so they just picked me up and threw me through it. It being the table, pronouns, pal. The table was in the corner. And as I went through the table, it broke and somehow the corner hit me in the face, right in the mouth, and it split my gum open, and the rest of that tooth, the root and everything, came out. Now the funny story that I was mistaken about a little earlier, somebody had grabbed my tooth whenever they came out there, because it was a table match, so that was the end of it. I was like, man, oh, what happened? I'm bleeding. This person tries to hand me my tooth, but it's like this long, because it's got the root and everything attached to it.
Yeesh.
So I thought like maybe somebody had like a shark necklace or something in the ring because Chris Hemrick was in the match. That seems like something he would wear. Yeah, like 'cause my dad used to wear one and Chris Hemrick's old like my dad. So they try to have my tooth and I quote myself here, and this popped all of them. That's not my tooth. I had half a tooth. So I think like say I don't know what happened, but that was in fact my tooth. So then I go to the emergency room like later just 'cause I'm like, I don't know what to do. It hurts. Like, so they're giving me shots in my gum while my eyes are watering. And they're trying to put the tooth back in, but that doesn't work out. So it's just like, well, now I look like this. Little did I know how marketable it would become for me and how recognizable for me it would be.
Sure.
But yeah, so it happened twice, and I just roll with it. Whatever.
Got you.
I've had this tooth loosened a couple times due to a couple things, a couple errant strikes or something like that too. So.
It's actually my first time hearing that last story. So.
See, he's told me before, and again, I know you've told that story a million times.
I understand. Well, I think that your show might have a lot more viewers than any other time that people have heard it.
Oh, I hope so.
Well,
You're
I
right.
hope so too. So let's kind of flash forward.
I'm Rob Killjoy. You're watching Suplexes and Microphones.
Shameless plug. So let's fast forward a
You
little
cut
bit.
that out. You can use that as an advertisement.
Hey,
later. Just
we're
place it.
gonna do a promo
We'll do
shot
that.
later.
Oh, absolutely.
So the Pulse Championship ladder match at Flatline Pro Wrestling.
Me?
Yeah. So a lot of people pretty much anybody that I've ever talked to that's seen that match or was in the room for it, it says it's one of the best ladder matches they've ever seen. And when they talk to me about that, I always credit you because I was in the back while you guys were putting that together. So I always credit you with kind of being the mastermind behind that whole thing. You want to talk a little bit about how that came about?
Well, mastermind, I would use that term very, very loosely. I wouldn't put it like that. But yeah, I recently watched that ladder match a few months back, and Cedric told me this. Cedric Alexander told me this. He said, because I told him, man, I really didn't like my performance in this match, but I watched it later on and I forgot it. Like I thought it was really good. Like it was a match with him, and he was like, yeah, you know, whenever you forget what was supposed to happen, you can enjoy it more because you had little things like, oh, I hate that I did this. So anything I do, I watch till I hate it. I pick it apart. And I can't stand anything I do. But always record your stuff, younger wrestlers. That's how you can see
More
your
on
progress.
that. More on what he just said later.
Definitely.
Go ahead.
But sorry, sorry, what was the question again?
We were just talking in general about the ladder.
You
the
mastered
whole
the
ladder
ladder
match.
match.
Yeah, basketball. Okay, no, but I went back and I watched it. I was like, man, that was actually a pretty good ladder match. I liked it. I thought it was very good. There's just, I wouldn't say mastermind. I just experience comes into play. That I've been in so many, and I'm not saying that was a terrible place or terrible people or anything. Not all of them, but. Like I've been in so many terrible places and terrible matches in front of terrible people, in front of terrible crowds, that I've just learned to direct traffic. This is not by any means putting myself over at all. I've just been doing this almost 14 years now. So I do have an opinion, and I feel that I can, if you throw anything at me, even if it's not the best, I will get something out of it. But I'm just used to directing traffic, and the flow of a multi-man match isn't that hard if you understand what you're trying to do. If you just understand how to flow it, make it pretty much equal, plug in everybody doing things, or whatever the story you're trying to tell. Then, like say, if you forget the spots, remember your story. Always remember the story. That's always the best thing to do. If you're working somebody's leg, and you forget the next spot, go back to their leg. Remember your story. But it was just putting stuff together. I like to do some, I've got a couple of things that, in all of my matches, I try to at least have a couple of things that you don't necessarily see all the time. That like try to be a little more original. Even if the move itself's not original, maybe the transition itself is. So, I should have said itself twice in that same sentence, I apologize. But again, very tired. But I have a few ladder spots that I know of that, like say, only I do, that I've just came up with because I've been in so many ladder matches. It's one of my favorite matches to do. So I was just plugging in stuff, whatever anybody want to do. And then I'm also very visual when I come to stuff, like I'm just visualizing it. I don't come up with a lot of ideas beforehand. I just, I don't know, what do you want to do? Well, maybe we'll do this. Maybe we can go here. Yeah, I can go buy them. Yeah, we'll get like this. And then I just get excited. And that's it. And like other people have told me, man, I always just don't care until like I'm called the match. I get excited too, because it's like infectious, viral pro.
Cheap slug.
But yeah, it's just putting stuff together, and sometimes it comes off well, sometimes it doesn't. But you can make it easy. A lot of people think like, oh, we got this 10-man tag, that's going to be so hard. Why? You literally have less to remember. You can do, everybody does 3 things, and that's our match. Easy. I won't give away the formula here or whatever, but I'm saying it can be easy if you've done it enough times. It's not rocket surgery, people.
Something you may not know about that ladder match, that was actually Joe's first indie show. So in that opening show, so that was his first indie match.
And here's reason one.
How it's mean.
Here's reason one why Rob Killjoy is my favorite wrestler. That's my first indie show. I began following you, and as you know, I came to the Palmetto Championship Wrestling because I saw you on the card. Didn't know anybody else on the card. Well, I saw James Drake on the card.
So. Rob Killjoy is a draw, guys.
Rob Killjoy is a draw.
Book Rob Killjoy at gmail.com.
And
booktheugly.com.
We'll do that again. Then I started just messaging them. Hey, where are you going to be next? And started following them. So.
And I actually reply to people. It's crazy, right?
It's unbelievable.
It's weird.
So essentially, what we have here is, without Rob Killjoy, this show wouldn't exist. Now, hopefully you enjoy the show and you can now appreciate. I'll also shout out to Ethan Case. He is one of the reasons that this show exists as well. But as far as this being a fire, this man had the match. So, match, as in ladder match.
Match is
so
fire.
There you go. Just want to put that out there, and we're moving on to a different topic.
All right.
Sometimes on social media, I will notice that you and another former guest of ours, Shay McGrady, will post pictures. Oh, here we are here we are there. I don't think you guys travel as much together these days. But maybe about 2 years ago, it was a little more often.
Ebony and Ivory Fair Adventures.
Ebony and Ivory, and that's usually one of the hashtags or things on there. And when I talked to Shay, he says, man, Rob hates me. So I'm picturing in my mind big brother, little brother relationship or something similar. So I want you in your own words to describe your relationship with Shay McGrady.
He is older than me, but I guess you could describe it as that like say I do in a way hate him. But in a way, he hates me too. Everybody does. I don't know, Shay. I love Shay. I do. But I hate Shay. I do. It's very hard to explain. But I guess it would be the big brother, little brother thing, even though he's older than me, much older than me.
I knew this question would be interesting.
Like, so it's, I don't know, it's like I take up for Shay. But I also cannot stand him sometimes in the way he gets sometimes. But that's just Shay. You have to accept it for who he is, and I get that. Sometimes it's just like, just chill. Just chill. If we're having a good time, it doesn't have to be, we're having a good time.
Right.
Yeah.
I get the feeling you don't put up with his stuff either. If
I
he's
don't.
trying to.
I really don't.
Okay.
I try not to put up with anybody's.
Okay. All right. So
I ain't got time for
does
that.
that kind of?
That's pretty much the best I could do. Because otherwise, it's like all this is in jest. I do love Shay Shay McGrady, but it's gonna come off like I'm burying him if I keep telling
I got
stories
you.
about
I
it.
got you. And we love Shay Shay too. Obviously,
Right.
former guest, and by the way, he's still healing up. So good luck, Shay
And
Shay.
so he will have time, and he will watch this. So sorry, Shay Shay.
Yeah. No need to be sorry. It's a good relationship, I think. I think somebody needs to keep it in
I
check.
mean, he knows. It was probably a lot less intense than he thought it would be.
Yeah, definitely. He
Speaking-
said I'm sorry. He actually said the same thing about Drake. He's surprised Drake didn't bury him when we interviewed Drake. And I said, well, it's not that kind of show, Shay.
Right.
But anyway, sorry, Caleb. Back to you.
Well, speaking of wrestling relationships, let's get down to it. Let's talk about the Ugly Ducklings and how that came about.
Okay. Well, I'll be PC here. Now, well, despite what anybody says, this is our idea. This was us. We came up with it. We built ourselves, in spite of everyone else. But myself, Lance, like I say, I've been trying to get on PWX for a while, and they finally used me. We did this 4-way for the Pure show before the very first X16. They did a three-day event in Winston-Salem, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I worked the Friday show. This was in September of 2015. So they had myself, Lance Lou, Smith Garrett, and Mason Maddox in a 4-way match. So we did a match, it went well, the crowd liked it. I enjoyed it, I had a lot of fun. They booked me again for the next month. They're just like, we need somebody to work with the Revolt, Caleb Connolly and Zane Riley. And I've known Zane for a long time. Me and him pretty much did the same things. It was like we were on all the same stupid, crappy fair shows together, stuff like that. Like, just enjoy it, having fun, just go whatever, let's go play around, let's go see what we can get out of this, let's go get experience, let's go do whatever. So, so they had myself and Lance Lou, like I said, they're like, okay, well, we'll have the juniors division. That's what we were, like the juniors division was like a few people. It didn't last long enough. But the juniors division against them, so they could kind of, whatever, show that we're to be taken seriously or whatever, I guess. That's my thought process on it anyways. So we go do that, and I'm just telling the commentary team and telling people, hey, I think it'd be funny, call us Ugly Ducklings. Nobody's okay with this. Yeah, like say, I just think it'd be funny. Like, I think it's funny, because it just like, I thought it was funny, and I said it in a joke or something, and I was like, it popped me, so I don't care. Everything I do is just to pop me anyways. So, so Ugly Ducklings is funny. And then, like say, I remember we just got to Riga, we did like I just did something, and then Lance slid through my legs, and I just squat down, and I was like, it's what you're all thinking. We're the new Steiner brothers. It's what everybody's already thinking, right? So, and I'm putting it over on social media, the Ugly Ducklings, and they're like, no, we're not gonna keep you and Lance as a team. Like I say, it's just junior division right. And then we got a pretty good response, and we had good chemistry together. We came up with a couple of cool moves and stuff. We had good chemistry together, and it's like, so I think like maybe you guys should like stay a team. It's like, we had already discussed it. We're gonna be doing stuff elsewhere. We're gonna be teaming, like I say, because we had good chemistry. We like kind of had a little bit of a concept. Little did I know what it would grow into. But I know it's my interview, but I just feel like I'm talking so much I'm dominating the conversation.
You should.
You should be, yeah.
But that's just how I feel.
We asked
like
questions,
rude to
you got
me.
the answers.
That's weird, But it's such long-winded answers. I like details.
I did tell him you could do it.
We fully expected this.
Well, I like details.
That's great.
I want to know why something happened. Why did something lead to the why? But anyways, so maybe you guys should team. Blah blah blah. So next month we're not booked. Cool. Then the next month, hey, we're just gonna do this juniors division 6-man tag match. you guys, we're gonna have Colby Carino with you guys. Like I say, but you don't worry, he's not part of the team or anything. Like I say, and we're like, well, no, we know Colby. We like Colby. Yeah, like I say, yeah, let's keep him with us. Yeah. We had excellent chemistry with Colby. Just played off it, and the crowd's quacking at us and chanting "ugly ducklings," and we're like, Because like I had put it on social media, I had said it a couple of times, but it wasn't like, hey, everybody like bombarding, hoping to get it over like it did. And I'm just like, well, that's interesting. So we get to the back, they saw chemistry. Yes, maybe Colby should be part of you again. Yeah, we're ahead of you. So we do we just start like teaming, and it's kind of like, okay, yeah, we could do this. We're just meshing each other ideas. Eventually, we're getting matching stuff. We get the mask made, and just, oh man, we didn't realize how deep you could go into ducks. So it's anything. Oh hey, we could sell ducks. That one time one of the best moments I've ever had was we went out there for, I believe it was the first What Lies Beneath, and when we hear our pose, all three of us, the crowd showered us with ducks. I believe that was in, what was the club PWX ran at?
Escapade.
Yeah, I think it was at Escapade, yes.
I think I was there.
Yeah, they duck shower, that was amazing. Fans, if you're listening to this, let's do that again. That was awesome. I don't feel right going and doing it myself. Hey, can you throw this in?
I think somebody's taken care of that once or twice since then.
It's awesome. It absolutely is. Somebody actually has. But I mean, there'll never be another first.
That's
But
right.
there could always be another last and next.
This is good with those,
Used to be. I need to bring that back sometime.
right? Yeah, you did.
Now it's become.
Right. So we done on the ducks, or?
That's roughly it. It's just growing leaps and bounds. I've always tried to hustle to get bookings for myself. I've started hustling to get bookings for us. All of us have. Say try to get more. We've got further. We've done CCW. We've done Evolve. We've done Fest in Florida. We've done FIP. We flew out to California. We did bar wrestling. We did Maverick Pro. We've done Rockstar in Ohio. We did First Wrestling for WrestlePalooza in Minneapolis. It's all over the place, and I feel like say that we haven't done enough. I feel we need to keep going and getting more.
You know, it's funny.
Get up them flyer miles.
2 years ago, I said something to you about, yeah, man, I saw you 7 times this year, and you laughed. You're like, man, you're not getting out enough. Because I'm competing 2-3 nights a week, every week,
right,
and you're right. So I mean,
with those fair shows, sometimes the fair shows. I remember one time I did 21 matches in 12 days.
Wow.
12 straight days.
Okay. Well,
I like wrestling.
Let's talk about bookings.
Again, it comes back to versatility. Trying to do anything I could.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, and we're gonna I'm gonna use a quote that you gave me. I asked you, there was a show just about 6 months ago at Platinum Championship Wrestling, just south of Atlanta. And I said, hey, I see you're booked on this show. I think I'm going to drive out to see you. What do you know about it? And you're like, not much. I've never wrestled there. And I said, well, what do you think? And you, of course, encouraged me to come out. Is myself, my son, and the Cubics family. We drove to just south of Atlanta. We get there, and there's not a roof on the building, and it's about 30, 35 degrees. So we were in for a cold night. We brought the Killjoy section signs, and we're there. But what you told me ahead of time, which, by the way, you wrestled Guild Quest, killed it. I mean, everybody, I think our section was all Killjoy section anyway, but I think you earned a lot of fans that night. We had to wait in line to speak to you, before we left. So for that being your first time, you definitely got over. But before that, what you said to me was, I wrestle many a shit show. Don't let the smooth taste fool you.
Yeah, don't let the smooth taste fool you. I come from the streets.
In other words, he'll accept any booking. You're talking about working fair. You would still work fair, wouldn't you?
Oh yeah, I'm not above any of this. Wrestling doesn't owe me anything.
Oh, that's the next quote now. That's the next quote. I want to hear your thoughts on just because. And again, there's nothing against Platinum Championship Wrestling. We had a good show.
No. I enjoyed it. I can't wait to go back. Platinum Championship Wrestling.
Yes.
I had a very enjoyable time.
And it
was just a very odd situation that we showed up. The ring is outside. It is 35 degrees outside, so it's very cold. But I got on the mic afterwards because I thought it was just so cool that we had a good crowd there.
Yeah.
Like I say, there was a good crowd there. They paid their money to come sit seats, and we were in a heated locker room. Our locker room had heat.
Yeah.
So it's So I felt what are these wrestlers bitching about? Like say we got to go out there for 10 minutes in the cold. These fans paid their money to sit there in the cold to watch us perform.
That's good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's awesome. So I couldn't help but like put them over. That was just one of the coolest things I've ever seen, and it's still I think that's great, and I appreciate you guys coming out. Like there's a raucous crowd. Me and Gilquist again, like say I enjoyed the match. He enjoyed the match. More importantly, the people enjoyed the match.
Yeah.
So Platinum Championship Wrestling, I definitely look forward to coming back as PCA. It's like ASAP but funnier.
Yeah, see, and again, that wasn't a quote about Platinum Championship Wrestling. It was a quote, generally speaking, as he said.
Oh, yeah. I'm not
you got
above wrestling anywhere.
I know you.
I can wrestle at fairs. I wrestled at a heavy metal concert last week.
Oh, nice.
While the band played, couldn't hear us, and all the fans walked over there, so I literally wrestled in front of maybe 3 people.
Oh, I would have paid.
I wrestled Juan Schuyler, El Pato Feo, the ugly duckling, El Pato Feo, wrestled Juan Schuyler just a few weeks ago in front of a Mexican restaurant. I wrestled big time very good, very talented kid, by the way. I wrestled George Southrady. I wrestled him at a Mexican grocery store.
Nice.
Like say on Mother's Day in Monroe, North Carolina, in front of a fantastic crowd. It was like a celebration at this grocery store. We got dressed back behind, like say where they have stock and stuff like that, a stock room and everything. It was just craziness. But you don't get experiences like that unless you go get experiences like that. That's the story I have now. It was fun. It's just like it was. And plus, I get some younger guys on these shows. They can get experience. Maybe sometimes they don't always pay well or something, but maybe that's not always what it's about. It's not always about money. Don't get me wrong. The Ugly Ducklings make money, but I'm also not all about money. I feel that experience. If there's an experience to be had, I want to have it. If there's a ring there and I can make that show, I want to be there. Now I can't do it for free, but I can make it beneficial for all parties involved. I just want to wrestle. You want to run a show? Let's work together. One's not working for the other. I'm not working for you. You're not booking me. We're working together.
And that brings me to the second quote from you. And this is reason number 2, that Rob Killjoy is my favorite wrestler. This is a direct quote from him. Wrestling doesn't owe me anything. This is the little thing you're about to get into. It's been better and worse to me than anything, but it doesn't change my love for it. I accomplished my dream the first day I had a match. The rest is just icing on the cake. I'm not afraid to start over wherever because I'm not above it. That when you, well, it was, let's be honest, it was on Facebook Messenger. So I'm saying direct quote, but typed. When you told me that, I got chills, man. And I said, we're going to talk about this. You got anything else to add to that?
Man, I mean, like, what else can you add to that? I mean, like, that's exactly how I feel, and that doesn't change. I'm very happy that I've ever gotten to wrestle. People have dreams. People want to get certain places. That's fine. That's cool. I want to go as far as I can, but I don't have specific dreams. I don't have specific goals. Oh, I want to get signed by WWE by this point. No, if that happens, cool. If I keep wrestling for the rest of my life the way I'm doing, cool too. If something happens, I got to go backwards and go just start working the fairs and stuff again, start working a shoot job more often. Cool. I'm not going to stop wrestling until I have to. I've never taken a break. I've never thought about quitting. It's just never come up because regardless of all the bullshit that happens behind the scenes or around it or whatever, when I'm out there, even the bad matches or whatever, but when I'm in the ring, none of that matters. That's not an experience I'm going to trade. Oh, excuse me.
So, speaking of that in the shoot job, you once told me about how you had a construction job and you would like skip lunch and leave early.
Not construction, it was moving furniture.
Move furniture. But you would do whatever you had to do during the day to make sure you made it to a show that night.
Correct.
Whether it was skipping lunch or whatever.
Yep.
Has that always been like, obviously what you just said, this is kind of a dumb question, but wrestling above everything else?
Yes. Wrestling over everything.
Over everything.
Yes. Any job I've ever had, it's been secondary. I've always worked. When I needed a job, I worked hard enough to where they would work with me some. When I delivered furniture, that sucked, but I did that for a few years. and I would just work through lunch and get it done as quickly as I can so I could leave a few hours early so I could get to my show or whatever. I couldn't be doing that job today with the schedule I have, which is good. So eventually I had a falling out with that job where I told them to go F themselves, and we both agreed I shouldn't work there anymore. But it was a bad time for a while. The shit job, but it was what I needed to do because I do whatever I need to do to wrestle. I've worked at Kmart, I've worked at Cookout, I've worked at a car wash, I've worked at Dollar General. I've worked. I worked at Pizza Hut. I delivered pizzas. Just whatever I could, as long as they worked with my schedule. And I'll work hard enough, and I'll make up for that. You work with me, I'll work for you. I will work hard enough to where, okay, well, he can't work Fridays or Saturdays or Sundays. That's fine. Okay, he needs to just let me know his schedule. We can have time. That's fine. So it's like, hey, at any point I could be, oh man, hey, England hit me up. Somebody in England hit me up. I can't be here the next 2 weeks. And what are they going to say? Well, if you're not here, then you're fired. I guess I'm fired because I'm not going to miss something like that.
Right. All right, speaking of work, we touched on this earlier briefly. Explain why you are so critical of your own work in the ring.
Well, because I strive for perfection. I'll never get perfect, but I'll strive for it, and that'll make me better for it. I want to get better. I'm not good enough. Nobody's good enough just yet. Yeah, it's like, so we can always get better. You learn every day. Again, if there's a ring there, there's an experience to be had. Go learn. Learn from the bad matches. Learn from the terrible things that happen. Don't get hurt, of course. Learn how not to get hurt. I do some stupid stuff. I've been very lucky. I do some stupid stuff. I've been very lucky because how do you get to Carnegie Hall? Practice, practice, practice. Go learn, do what you do well, do the things you do great, not the things you do kind of well. If you can kind of do it half the time, don't do it. Do what you do well. Don't get hurt, don't hurt somebody else. But go do what you do well. Figure it out, go learn, always strive for more, always push yourself to be better. I mean, maybe I was better last night than I'll be tonight. But maybe I'll be better next week than I am tonight. Who knows? I'm going to try my best though. There's always an experience. Try new things. Go work. You can't teach experience.
Well, there were a few times when you've had a match and I've been there, and you and I would maybe briefly discuss it, either that night or next day or something.
I probably very nicely buried it to you.
Pretty much. They'll say a 20-minute match, and I'm like, Rob, I love the match, man. It was great. I like the spotlight spot. And the first thing that he says or messages me back is, yeah, but the crowd didn't really pop for that particular spot. Not that he messed up the spot, but I just really thought, yeah, he was gonna get over a little better. But anyway.
Or that was just the shits, all of it.
Well, I've told you before, I've never been disappointed in one of your matches.
I have.
Whether it's with the Ducks or as a singles competitor. And I don't know if I told you this, but if I was booking my own card, like if this was...
I can't wrestle myself.
If this was Brown Pro Wrestling for the night, the Ducks would be wrestling, but so would Rob Killjoy. You'd have a singles and a tag match.
I can do it.
Anyway, with that said...
Yeah, and I'm fine with that. I like to wrestle.
With that said, I want to make sure you know what some of the people in the industry think of you and your matches.
Probably some of them don't like it.
Well, I haven't talked to everyone, but I have talked to a few people that have been in the ring with you, that have been part of the show.
You got quotes from them too?
As producers, absolutely. And owners and such as that. One of them sitting to your right here. I asked Caleb, probably over a year ago, when I was just really getting to know Caleb.
Me and Caleb get along because he's a dick too.
Okay.
So we get along well. I like Caleb.
Well, when I asked Caleb, what do you think of Killjoy? And I was a little nervous because, this is my favorite wrestler right here.
Yeah, don't.
Caleb said,
tell you the truth.
I'm gonna paraphrase it. Caleb said, "You're a leader in the locker room. If people are down, you will bring them up." And then he said, "And you already know about his in-ring work." So that's a person that has been in the ring, that's been behind cameras, behind production, part of booking, part of managing, all sorts of things. So he's seen you, and I told him, I said, Caleb, it's going to be great to have you here for this interview because you appreciate Rob's work in a way that I never can. So that's one.
It's high praise.
And I still feel that way.
Yeah. And is
Well,
it,
thank you.
am
I do
I
appreciate
stating
it.
that correctly, Caleb? Is that
Yeah,
pretty much what
I mean, that's
you're
pretty
doing?
much a direct quote.
I
So.
mean, all right. So
Here, I feel bad. Like
And
I
if
said,
it's not-
I feel weird because I know what we do is I need to be the center of attention. We're wrestlers or whatever, but this is always so weird for me. It's like, oh, let's do this interview where you oh, you
yeah,
can't be over
I'm
too
about
long,
to
that
dump
whole
some.
time.
I'm about to dump some more praise on you. So just get
Shucks.
ready.
Oh, look down, kick foot shot me.
Chris Wiggins, who has been in
Oh,
Ring
Wiggy.
Performer. Was one of the co-owners of
He's a
Flatline,
good
where I
dude. I
first
like
saw
him.
you, and he's currently a referee all over Southeast. Wiggins
Look,
said,
him also.
Right down the middle.
that's right, he's calling it right down the middle every time, that you are one of the best people to work with, and if someone puts you in a match with an unexperienced person, you will be the ring general
Inexperienced.
and will bring that person up and make that match good.
I will try, but sometimes it doesn't work. I will try.
So you're already crapping on these compliments, so just get over it and accept the
Well,
compliment.
no, I'm just saying, like, I do appreciate him saying that, but I could give you some examples, but then I'd be burying people, so I'm not trying to do that.
All right, well-
But there's some where it's like, again, experience. I have experience from whatever situation's handed to me.
Well-
So, okay, if this guy, let's get him over, let's get a match out of him. Let's do something. I'll try to make it a little different, but even if I can, I want it to be at least solid, at the very least. So my expectations also vary match to match. Like say, if I'm working someone who has only wrestled a year, as opposed to wrestling someone who I've wrestled for the past 10 years, I'm going to expect more out of that match than I will with the match with him. But when that match goes well, even if it wasn't as much or how whatever, it's like, oh, well, I'm very happy with that. Even if I didn't like this and this, overall, I like it. But I hate little things because, again, I like details.
I got two more quotes here, and then one after that I'm going to give you that's more important to me than these people. Shane Dorr, the owner of Palmetto Championship Wrestling. Shane says,
Tell him he owes me $1.
you are one of the most exciting talents. Your ability to call multi-man matches sets you apart from almost anyone else. You're a fan favorite and one of the all-time favorite people he's ever used. Just let that soak in. Next up, Brady Collins, up-and-comer. Is he George South guy or?
Yes.
Okay, I thought he was. So you, Brady Collins, Devin Cruz, and Tracer X had a four-man match at Collision at the Castle, Palmetto
We
Championship
did,
Wrestling,
yes.
a couple months back. I talked to Brady Collins.
Contrary to popular belief, we did not go double our time. We went 1 minute over.
I don't think anybody was complaining. Talked to Brady Collins about a couple weeks later at a PWX show, and I told him how great I thought the match was. And he said, Killjoy gets all the credit for that. He is amazing at planning matches and making it make sense, such as, why are we doing that spot? Let's make it make sense. And you mentioned earlier, story and everything else. So that's four people in the business.
Yeah, if you know what you're trying to accomplish, stuff can roll over into the next. It makes everything so much easier. If you forget, oh, well, it's flowing into the next thing, oh, you realize it doesn't have to be that hard. But again, it only comes with experience. You have to do it to learn it.
Yeah.
Very learn by doing.
That's four people in the business, so if you ever feel like, I don't want you to not strive for perfection, because that's you. I want you to be you. But I don't want you to ever get down on yourself when these people are thinking this highly of you.
Well, it's like, again, if I'm down on myself, I'll feel better when I wrestle again.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like I try to stay above the stupid crap that surrounds it because, again, I just want to wrestle. But people will take advantage of that. They will. But I'm smart enough to know when it's happening, but sometimes I still let it happen because I just want to wrestle, man. I just want to wrestle.
So the last thing, and this is reason number 3 why this is my favorite wrestler. Right here.
He's rock paper.
My wife had never been to an independent wrestling show. And I said, I think you're going to like the Ugly Ducklings. Let's go to a show, take the ugly. We took my son, who was a lot younger at the time, and my daughter, and my wife. And to be honest with you, if I have WWE on TV, my wife wants me to cut it off, like 90% of the time. This was a couple years ago. And
He's just a Roman hater.
she's an everybody hater. But I even told you, I said, man, I'm bringing my wife tonight. It's her first show. And you said, we're going to make a fan out of her. That night, We left the show, it was a PWX show,
Confident swagger, bro.
and
Not a peacock.
my wife, I said, what did you think? Be honest. She said, I love the Ducks. And now, and she's coming tonight to see you, now she will go to shows with me, not every time, and that's fine, but she looks forward to any show that Killjoy or the Ducks are on. So that's reason number 3 for you being my favorite wrestler. And we're going to lighten it up
And
here
I
in just a
appreciate
minute.
that. I appreciate that.
But turn it over to Caleb for that.
All right, so I just want to briefly discuss the Galeno family Christmas card. We'll throw it up on the screen here
Yes.
for those who haven't seen it. How did that come about? That was just the coolest idea. I didn't know about it until I saw the finished product.
Myself and James Drake, we go way back, like car seats, spinal cords, to quote White Mike. And I don't know, we just kind of had the idea where we thought it was silly, like we're always just trying to do stupid stuff. And again, I'm just trying to pop myself. If it pops us, it'll pop other people. So we thought that would be funny. And Wade and Mikey Galeno brought Christmas sweaters. And we wore them, and I was like, yes, we need to get a card of this. This would be fantastic.
It was fantastic.
And I just, it's fun. I like those things. I enjoy it.
All right, so we have a fan question from Cody Fluffman. This is as a result of seeing Tracer X on the Frosted Flakes box. If you could choose, what cereal box would you have Rob Killjoy? Or I guess one of the other Deathly's featured on.
Wheaties. No, I don't know. I'm a big fan of. Let me think. I like so many cereals. Like I like Cinnamon Toast Crunch, French Toast Crunch, like Fruity Pebbles are they're my jam.
This is the question we stick them on.
Of all these, right?
Of all
So,
these.
I mean, I'll go with the pun, Apple Quacks.
Okay.
There you have
Goes
it.
right there.
There you have it. That's perfect.
Again, I would have got to it sooner, but I'm very tired.
All right.
Yeah,
That wasn't my
Apple Quacks,
guess. Did you have a guess?
I didn't have a guess. I thought he might say like Frosted Mini Wheats or something like that.
I don't
know why that came to mind.
I said Wheaties at
Yes,
first.
that's true.
That's just funny for multiple reasons.
Yeah.
All right, so moving on. Over the top rope question. So our previous guest was Big Country. And we asked Big Country
Pretty sure I've
something.
thrown him over the top of it before.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that. We asked him to give us a question for you from him. He says, tell us about the time you almost decapitated Big Country with a casket.
Well, I didn't know that was happening. Okay, so we had a casket match. The story being, he's too big to get in a casket, so how am I going to win this?
Okay.
So I have him in the casket, and I'm trying to shut the lid, but it won't shut because, it won't shut over, so I just slam it up and down on it like it won't shut. Yeah, telling the story. Turns out his head, but he says, was out of the casket, and I'm slamming it on his head also.
Repeatedly.
Yeah, repeatedly. And yeah, I didn't realize that. He said that's what happened, and I was like, oh, I did not notice that. I apologize. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I lost that match.
Okay. All right, so we're getting into the hot tag, which is one of our features here. Caleb is going to ask you these questions. We want this in Twitter form, 140 characters or less.
All right, so just kind of, I'm going to spit out a name to you. You just briefly kind of go over like how you feel about that person in general.
Okay.
First one on the list, Wade Adams.
Canada,
Effie.
amazing.
Okay, your opponent here tonight is the next one, Darius Lockhart.
Good, but very gonna lose.
You have it here, folks. It's a spoiler.
Good, but very gonna lose.
Next is a guy that you were recently in a pretty incredible match with, TJ Boss.
Jay Boss, heavy-handed.
Okay.
Okay, and then the last one on here, we definitely would be remiss if we didn't put this person on the list, Lance Lude.
Quack.
There you go.
Perfect.
Like it.
Perfect.
Chemistry.
There you go.
Yeah, I did more of a word association thing, but I
That's
thought that
fine.
was more entertaining for me.
No, that's fine.
We actually were going to start, that when we started doing that feature, it was going to be a word association thing. I think our first guest gave like a couple sentences, so that's fine.
Well,
That's
Tad,
perfect.
and next time just be like, which would you prefer?
So we're getting into the 10 count. So we're getting close to wrapping this up. I'm going to do the first 5, and Caleb's got the last 5. First question. Give me your dream match with someone dead and someone that's currently alive.
Well, I guess my dream match would be Eddie Guerrero.
Okay, so there's your dad.
Someone alive? I don't know. Overall, most of my matches I consider dream matches because they're wrestling matches I want to have.
Okay.
Yeah, so that like matches are dream matches to me. I guess I would go with Shawn Michaels since he's still alive. I'll go with my 2 favorites. I have to because I want. You don't need to spend 7 minutes on me just.
Number 2. Have you ever played any other sports?
No, I've never been into sports. I always hate organized sports. My dad tried. I never got into it. I never liked football, never liked baseball, never liked racing, never liked anything like that. It's always just been wrestling. I've just been obsessed with wrestling. Now I wish that I would have done something more athletic when I was younger. But I was watching wrestling and backyard wrestling and hurting myself doing that and wrestling. So it is what it is. I like wrestling, period. Forget everything else. When I was a kid, I would rollerblade some. And I would like go to skate rinks and stuff like that. But once I started wrestling, I stopped all of that. Because if I'm going to get hurt doing something stupid, it's going to be wrestling. I'm not going to get hurt. Oh, I was surfing and I got bit by a shark. No, I'm good. I'll break my leg wrestling or something.
Gotcha. Number 3. What is your go-to cookout order?
Spicy chicken sandwich with just cheese, Cajun fries, extra Cajun seasoning. Maybe a corn dog for a side, but sometimes that can vary between a bacon ranch wrap or a Cajun wrap, or maybe some nuggets or something. That varies. That second side, maybe a chicken quesadilla. That would probably be the top one. The Cajun fries, extra Cajun with the chicken quesadilla, and it's probably with light ice. I don't normally drink soda. I don't like to, but I don't want to pay for water, so it's weird. Or I'll get a milkshake.
Okay, all right.
I'm a fat kid. I love ice cream.
Number 4, what is one thing you would like to see changed in the pro wrestling business?
Man, there's been some good that's come of it, but I want promoters to stop fucking the boys, pretty much. Like say, be serious about what you're doing. The same with the boys. If you want to wrestle, be serious about it. You want to just wrestle on the weekends, that's fine. But still be trained properly to do so. If it's not your full-time thing, that's fine. But don't be endangering me while you're doing your part-time hobby. Because I do this for a living. So that would be my main thing. It's just, let's remember we're all working together. Let's make wrestling better overall. But wrestling's come a long way. Indies are hot right now. There are some good indie promotions out there that I have yet to have any problems with pay or creative or anything like that. And there are some that I have. So.
All right, number 5, last one for me. Tell us about your first car, and I have a follow-up question in regards to that.
My first car? All right. My first car was a Ford Taurus. It was a green 96 Ford Taurus. And I drove it pretty much till it died, till it wouldn't pass inspection anymore. But I wasn't traveling nearly as much as I am now then. But when I got it, it had a dead inspection sticker. It had tires that were bad stuff. I bought it from a dealership. I went to the DMV. And the guy was like, oh, yeah, no, you can't. Yeah, what? No, you can't. So I had to go get all that fixed. And then I got it going, and then I drove it till pretty much couldn't anymore.
Now, you and I were talking maybe a year and a half ago, and you told me you had wrecked one of your cars, and you thought you had broken your ankle or your foot. Do you remember that?
No. I wrecked a car, and I hurt my chest. Then I wrecked a car and I was fine, and then I rolled a car and I was fine. I'm a very good driver. I travel a lot. Like there's stories behind that. There's only one of those that was my fault.
I think you told me you had rolled the car, but maybe I did not remember that correctly.
Yeah, no. I've been very lucky. Again, like say, my first wreck, a lady pulled right out. She took the left right in front of me as I was coming, which it was very obvious I was coming. Like I say, I had the right of way. She just took a left right in front of me, and I hit the steering wheel. The airbag didn't deploy, and like I said, I had a bruised sternum. And so I was delivering furniture too, so that was sucky. but I continued wrestling and stuff. It just hurt for a while. And then I wrecked into a van, and this one was my fault. Like I said, I was going a little fast. I just made a mistake.
Okay.
But I hit this van and, like I say, totaled the car I had, but I was fine somehow. The airbag didn't deploy and stuff, but somehow I was fine. And then just a couple months after that, I was on my way home from my girlfriend's house, and I had a show to get to. And I was driving, car I had at the time, and this car was coming down the wrong way, passing these cars on a double yellow line. So he was in our lane, and the cars in front of me slammed on their brakes. And I hit my brakes. I wasn't even super close to them, but I hit my brakes. I didn't slam on it, but I hit them fairly hard. I started sliding and just slid off the road and had enough time to think, no, come to a stop and think, man, that was close. And then just roll on over into the woods. And I was so mad. And somebody jumped up, like I say, actually stopped to help me because I thought I was alone in the woods and I was just mad. Somebody came up to help me and they're like, no, we need to get you out of there. I was like, no, hold on. And I'm handing them up my wrestling bag. No, here, you need to get this out here. Here's my gimmick box. You need to get that up there. Here, here's my, did my mask break? No, we're good. Okay. And then called the cops, told them what happened. I didn't get a ticket or anything. That guy just kept driving. The one who was coming on the wrong side. He just kept driving. But people stopped to help me and stuff. Got the car towed. It's totaled, blah, blah. Got a ride from my brother. Still made my show.
Nice.
So,
All right, Caleb.
all right. So pick 2 indie wrestlers to have your back in a street fight.
Well, I guess I could go with the Chris brothers. But like I say, I just off the top of my head, they're super tough. I mean, Zach Wentz, there's I don't know, that's a weird question. It's a weird question. Normally I just handle myself. I don't normally need somebody to have my back, but I understand.
See, I told Joe that you would pick Drake. I was completely wrong.
Well, no,
I thought Drake would be on the list,
no,
too.
see, Drake's one of them. See, that's just one of those, I've never heard that question, so I could answer 16 times here and then go out there, like say, leave and then come back. No, wait, I forgot this.
Right.
So it's just a real awkward question, I feel.
Okay.
Sorry. Again, it's Rob Killjoy. You're watching Suplexes and Microphones. Awkward questions with Rob Killjoy.
Next
So
one.
be over and watch me blush.
Pick a superpower for you to have.
I guess invincibility, just because. Or
You do crazy yourself.
super cardio.
Super cardio.
Yeah, don't want to ever get blown up.
So
It
new
happens
Lucha
sometimes.
Libre name.
Super cardio. I like that.
Next one. In your opinion, who is the greatest of all time? You only get one.
I mean, just due to overall, I'd have to say Flair.
Yes.
Just overall, but like just
Reason number 4, Rob Killjoy is my favorite wrestler.
like, it's
Right
just,
there.
I mean, what would your answer be?
Right
Just out of
there. Did you
curiosity.
hear
Well,
that?
so we always.
Did you hear that?
I did hear it. So we go back and forth. Flair, Sean. So.
No, see, I could
he's a
say
Flair guy, I'm a
Sean.
guy.
I could say Sean, but I could also say
but you
more
did-
people know who Flair is than Sean.
But
I
that's
can also
true.
say Flair, even if he did, like say, if Shawn Michaels had better matches, Flair did a little more than Shawn.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's just, if I had to pick, gun to my head, I would rather watch Shawn than Flair.
Yeah.
But that's not the question.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's, again, I might think of something a little different
No,
too.
you're good.
But then
Stop
you
there.
can also go, who drew the most money of all time? Well, that would be Stone Cold Steve
Stone
Austin or
Cold,
Hulk
yeah.
Hogan.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's just very different. It's kind of like the Mount Rushmore question.
Yeah.
You got to have multiple Mount Rushmores.
Yeah,
you know what I'm
but
saying?
you got that one right, though.
Right.
You got
Oh,
this one.
yeah. Okay,
We're going to
cool.
move on to the next one.
I'm glad my opinion was correct.
I don't think Flair's a bad answer, by the way. Just for the
Well, I
record.
understand
No
what
one,
you mean.
anybody.
And
would be-
I've debated in my head, but it's just if I had to, just due to overall body of work, it would have to be
Thank you.
Flair.
So I love that you're wearing this shirt right now because the next question is lose one, either Peter Venkman or Ray Stantz.
Fuck it.
So you got to lose one.
Oh, man.
I'd lose Ray probably.
Well, he does have a
you're wearing
Venkman shirt
Yeah.
on right now.
Yeah, I'd lose Ray.
Okay.
I mean, I would rather not lose any of them.
All right. So follow up to that one. You have to lose either the band Slayer or all Christmas music.
Why are you doing this to me?
That's
To put you in
that
this
means, That
position.
means it's a good lose one.
It's like,
Now you know why we do those pre-questions.
nah, like, cause I feel my mind would fluctuate. I'd be like, Christmas music till it got to around Christmas time. Then I'm like, so I can't answer that. Next.
What?
We got him. He can't answer.
No,
I don't know
stop
if we've
it.
ever completely
The end of the
That's
interview. We're
fantastic.
done now.
All right, well,
Last question,
we got
last
another
question.
question. Another question. So this is the envy question. So the previous guest on the show was Big Country. So if you could take any one thing from Big Country, what would it be? So you can take his mask, his interest music, his moveset, anything. His car, his house.
Yeah,
I
it
would-
doesn't have to be wrestling related.
I would take back the time I almost decapitated it.
I like it. I like it.
That's perfect.
All right. So that finishes us up. Go ahead and plug where people can find you, where people can reach you to book you, and that sort of thing, real quick.
Well, you can see me on suplexes and microphones. Also, follow us on Twitter at 3MotherDuckers, at I'm Rob Killjoy, at Lance Lute, at It's Coach Mikey. You can also follow us on Facebook, The Ugly Ducklings, Instagram at 3MotherDuckers. Just follow us. Come find us. Buy our shirts. Buy our merch. We got ducks. Ducks for $1, ducks for $3, duck calls. We got shirts. Best t-shirts in the game. Buy a shirt, get a picture for like $5 normally. There's 7. We got all sorts of stuff. Coloring pages. You like to color, it's therapeutic. We're just trying to pay our bills. You get it? We're ducks. We have bills. Trying to get our duck wet. Guys, like I say, I mean, that's about all I can say, but there's one way that we always do these things. All right, you guys know, you're big fans, you say. So you got to put your hand out. All right. Everybody at home, join us. Suplexes and microphones, heads out. Signing off, I'm Rob Killjoy.
I'm Joe,
I'm Caleb.
and we're with Suplex and Microphones.
And I'm Rob Killjoy. Quack, 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 quack.